Hello there. I'm actually gonna sort of start the episode like this. I think I feel it's very very opportune.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. I find the little lizard in the room.
And that's how Noki levels up. Magical lizard.
Magical lizard.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Welcome back. You'll have noticed. You'll have noticed a lizard. Yeah, you will have noticed that it's for the moment just Imia and me. Hello. Because this episode we've effectively, technically finished our campaign. The hunt for the owlbear has been successful. But in this episode, I wanted to give each of our players a narrative framing for their leveling up, instead of just moving on and now they suddenly can do all of these new cool things and they have all these new abilities. It'd be a bit more fun to fit them within the story. And we're going to start with Noki.
Yes.
So it's the next day. Yesterday was a very eventful day for all of you. I'm going to say that Noki, you are the first to rise. How do you just sort of immediately leap out of bed? Do you sort of chill? What's Noki's morning routine?
I think I'll first be like just hanging around, seeing what the others are doing, and seeing that they are taking way too long to wake up. Start heading to like the inn part to get some food.
Okay. So you head downstairs. It's still fairly early. There's not really anybody around. Carmela isn't at the bar, but there is one of the other staff. There's like a human man, and he's sort of wiping the bar and he's setting up things. And he will see you and he'll recognize you as one of the heroic kobolds who apprehended the notorious red herring gang, and will offer you a cup of goat's milk. We established that was a bit nicely weird
Yeah.
for you. And yeah, you sort of relaxing. I suppose it's nice and quiet. And quite suddenly, you hear like a faint
and instantly freeze up. Like, oh no.
And hurtling towards you through the door of the Tipsy Shrimp is a fairy, one of those glittering fairies that you encountered in the forest the day before. But it doesn't attack you, it doesn't do anything hostile, it just sort of comes to land on your table, and it dims its light, it sort of adjusts its brightness dial, and you can sort of see its form, and it's, as you surmised last time after Meeza accidentally fried one, it's kind of insectoid. It's sort of like a segmented body, but vaguely humanoid as well. And it chitters to you very, very fast. And then it's like, and through your rudimentary understanding of Sylvan, the Sylvan language, you surmise that the fairy is inviting you back to the forest for something very important. So, what do you do?
Okay, sure. And I'll follow. Ow! I stung myself with a needle. Whoops.
So you decide to to follow the fairy.
Little
The
bit careful, but
Yes, I mean, every now and again it sees that you're hanging back a little bit hesitantly, and it kind of just gestures like, oh, like hurry up. And it leads you through the market square, down all the alleys, and back to that path. And soon enough, you find yourself surrounded by the trees and the bushes, and you're hearing the sort of morning chorus of birds and other animals. And I think possibly you are seeing some animals that you maybe didn't even know existed. There's some weird little furry things with long bushy tails. There's glittery things with red chests, feathers, and it's all kinds of strange creatures, but they don't seem to be hostile. And the fairy eventually leads you to a clearing, and on the ground of this clearing, it seems to be covered in moss, like thick, soft moss, like a carpet. But as soon as you step forward, the carpet rises, almost like there's somebody sort of hiding underneath it. And it twists and turns, and all these vines and roots emerge from the ground. And once again, you find yourself presented with the forest creature, the mother of these fairies that you encountered the day before. She, or it, whatever you prefer, seems a lot less hostile. And they seem to be sort of studying you for a few seconds. Again, the fairy that led you in here zooms back into the head of this creature to reform one of its eyes, and it waits a moment, and then it bows. It lowers its head gently and reaches out a limb, a protrusion.
She's very hesitant about this because last time they said it wasn't gonna be good coming back.
Yeah. It kind of tilts its head to one side, and then one of the protrusions sort of goes over where its mouth would be, and it sort of looks around, and it speaks to you again. And again, in your very sort of rudimentary grasp of Sylvan, you get the meaning of apologies, change, and then opinion or mind, or point of view. So effectively, it's like, sorry, changed my mind. Come on in.
We good
Safe.
now.
Yeah, gives you the impression of safety.
She'll start to relax a little bit and okay,
This is perfect.
yeah. I
Not
think
kill. Not kill.
okay.
Teach.
Same. Oh.
Come. Teach.
Are they still extending?
Yeah,
the
they're sort of protrusions. Yeah, let's call them
Mhm.
arms. It has arms. Otherwise, we're going to sound really weird and creepy the whole time. It extends its arms welcomingly and says, "Come, teach."
I'll take a step forward and reach for her hand to take it.
Okay, it's very damp. It's not the best. It's not the best feeling.
Squishy mush.
You come. Stay. We teach. You friend. Forest. Plant. You friend. We teach.
Okay.
That was quick. Nice.
I I would like because the, the the magic from like under the ground, it works a little bit different. It's still from the earth, but this is weird earth. I don't I don't understand this. So teaching would be nice.
Underground.
Mm.
Overground. Wombling free. Sorry, I had to. I had to. I'm sorry. I had to.
I felt it
Rewind.
coming, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh no!"
I'll rewind. It says underground, above ground,
Mm,
all life same, all life connect.
mm,
You know some magic of earth. We teach more. And after it says this, its shape sort of shudders and contracts, and all the vines and moss and leaves that and twigs that make it up reconfigure themselves, and it turns into, it assumes a different shape, and it's got four legs and what looks like a tail, and the tail is sort of moving very quickly, and it has quite a long face now, and it opens up like a mouth, and there's a very long leaf that kind of flops out, and it's sort of panting a little bit, and this strange new form of this forest creature starts bounding around you excitedly, and then
Oh.
oh no, and it shudders again and it contracts again, and now it looks like something else. It looks a little bit like Busby. It looks like a big flying creature, and it sort of circles around you, and then it comes back to land, and it again assumes its humanoid form, and it bows and it says, "We teach you new magic."
I would like that a lot. Please.
I think it sees you smile if you're smiling, and just like a big tear forms in the vines. It doesn't look as nice as it probably thinks it does.
No.
Yeah, it stops. It seals it up again and looks a bit awkward. Okay, so basically over the sort of the course of the next the sort of rest of the day until nearly evening, you stay with this creature who you learn is commonly referred to as a dryad or a forest spirit, and along with the fairies and even some of the other creatures of the forest, they are hosts to you. They feed you, they entertain you, but they also teach you a lot of magic that you honestly didn't think was even possible. Like you said, your magic was mostly confined to the underground natural world, and suddenly a whole spectrum of new forms of life and plants are shown to you. And the sun sort of is, before perhaps you even realize how time has passed, because I think you'd be having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
The dryad sort of comes over to you and bows again and says, "We we
Okay.
we teach what we know. Rest of journey, you learn yourself. We give you new magic to help." And it sort of before saying goodbye, it kind of shifts,
Mhm.
and it turns into a very small creature with, again, it's four little stumpy limbs, and they're
Mhm.
kind of bent, a kind of diamond-shaped head, and
Mhm.
a big chunky tail. And it sort of sticks a little leaf tongue out at you,
Mhm.
as if to say, now you.
Oh, I'm gonna be shaped into a little lizard. I don't have to roll for that, do I?
We're gonna say, because
Okay.
you haven't gone through the mechanics, you can just do it for now.
Okay. I'll change into a little leopard gecko, small little bean. And there's this. Uh, I know what kind of mushroom it looks like, but I don't know the names. There's this little, like, instead of the knobs they have normally, like the little protrusions, it's like all little like mushroom thingies, like the heads of mushrooms.
Okay, so you turn into a little purple gecko
Yeah,
with a mushroom growing out of its back.
yeah.
The dryad gecko sort of looks at you a little bit quizzically and then says, "In time, you get it. No worries. Farewell." And it
Okay.
turns back into its humanoid form.
Alright. I'll turn back to and give him a big old hug. Uh,
Aww.
I did. Thank you. It was a lot of fun today, and I like what I can do now.
You have bright future.
Mhm.
Remember, nature is friend. And you leave the forest and you make your way back into town.
Yes.
So you can then level up at your leisure, but
Mm.
Noki is now officially a level 2 druid who can beast shape now
Once.
once, but still that's pretty cool.
So I'll come to the rest like, hey guys, look what I can do. Wait, no, I can't.
So I presume it's now just Meeza and me. It sounds like another a famous podcast. Meeza and Meeza and me.
Meeza and me.
Yes, it's now Meeza's turn. So I'm gonna say basically, Meeza wakes up next. What's Meeza's morning sort of not ritual, I guess, but just how does Meeza wake up?
Meeza wakes up and gets Grub and gives Grub a good scrub down and prestidigitations any dirt away. They also sort of try to, immaculately brush their little knobby bits on their head. I don't know what those are called, like their frill. Just the general low down maintenance, make sure everything is fine in the pack that I still have to carry, but I don't quite understand why somebody else can't carry it for me. But I'm just going with it at this point.
Okay, so several hours later,
yes,
you notice that Noki is not in the bed.
I burrow back into the bed quickly to make sure.
Yeah, there's there's some spores, but that's just Noki residue. There's no trace of Noki. Your other two companions are still sound asleep.
I think about waking up Egg and Zaffre because they obviously are more responsible and would know what to do in a situation like this. But then I don't, and I just leave. Because
Okay.
Candle said they wanted to meet me, so I'm going to go and see Candle.
Yeah. Okay, so Meeza, you sort of just hurtle downstairs. The now sort of Kanmela is behind the bar and sort of goes, "Hey, as you sort of
I'm just
streak outside. And yeah, I mean, now it's still morning, but it's not super early. So there's some people milling around, and now people sort of recognize you, and people sort of saying, "Hey, good morning." And over in a certain corner of the market square is the spice stall of Mr. Candle, the spice merchant, and he sees you approach and waves at you very enthusiastically. He actually conjures a hand. He conjures like a mage hand and waves at you, just
I
as you
conjure
did.
it back and I wave back.
Yeah, it's a wave off. Sort of just waving with your mage hands. And once the sort of the formalities are dealt with, he will come round the front of his stall and sort of he'll kneel down so that he's at eye level, and he will gesticulate quite elaborately, and through the images you get like an idea of magic, and he creates images of a book, and he creates an image of a person with an outstretched hand, and in the hand there is like a glowing light, and then there is another image of what looks like to your kobold mind a hatchling, like a very young creature, very like an infant, and a glow emanating from this child, this infant. And these three options, these three sort of magical iconographs, these sort of images appear in front of you, floating in the air. And he points to himself, and he crosses out the book, and he crosses out the outstretched hand, and he points to the infant that is sort of glowing with magical energy, and then he points again to himself, and then he points to you with a question mark. And again, I guess those three options reappear. So there's like a glowing book, an outstretched hand with what looks like magic in it, and a magical infant.
Well, for one, a glowing a glowing hatchling doesn't sound healthy and probably should be checked. But are you trying to ask me how I'm magical? How
Candle
I
nods.
like did I get it from something? Something else gave it to me? Did I learn it I don't like books, so that's a definite no.
He crosses out the book.
Yeah, no, and I'm not like Egg who hears voices in her head.
He crosses out the outstretched hand. So he kind of he nods and he says,
I conjured a unicorn one day. It just appeared out of nowhere after I had a temper tantrum, and yeah.
he gesticulates, and you see a tiny candle waving his little arms around, and a unicorn appears.
Exactly that, but it wasn't you, it was me. Oh, you did the same thing? Wait, does everybody conjure unicorns their first time? I don't understand. It was a very nice. Did your unicorn go poof?
He signs no, probably not.
Mine went poof.
No, it was more to the first question. Like, does every sorcerer get a unicorn their first time?
The unicorn.
Their first magical fart causes a unicorn. No, it's so basically you realize through this sort of signed conversation with Candle that he too is a sorcerer, and
do you get jittery like me, like, and then just things just sort of happen? If you get like really overly emotional, like things just happen and you can't control it, but like it just happens?
He signs that when he was very young, that it felt a little bit like that, but as he got older and the more he practiced, you see sort of images of tiny Candle growing up. And
I get the Lion King version of Candle.
you get like a
Maturing.
time. You get a time lapse. You get a passage of time with. Excuse me, I did a magical burp. You get a passage of time, and you see Candle growing up and consulting books, consulting people, traveling a lot, and eventually you see adult Candle weaving spells, apparently
Oh,
very
that's really
confidently.
cool.
And he kind of smiles, kind of bashfully.
I want to be able to do that, but I don't think I can. I mean, it just sort of happens. I can't control it. I can control it sometimes, like when I charmed that person into giving me the scarf.
Yeah, he signs that was maybe a bit of a no-no. But
I've been told that, yes.
he puts a reassuring paw on your shoulder, very
Ooh,
delicately.
you're fuzzy.
And
no, it's a good thing. I like fuzzy. It's fine. You're good.
He signs that he agrees, and he gives you the indication that he would like to help you control or have some modicum more control over the sort of these random bursts of magic, and also perhaps to learn a few new tricks. And so you nod again. You just nod very, yeah. And so he will
I'd like to be able to communicate with you better, because that it seems kind of unfair that I don't know, or be able to communicate with people that can't communicate. I don't know.
He again he holds your hand, but before he sort of goes for it, he sort of looks at you questioningly, sort of like, may I take your hand? Okay. And he very delicately holds it in his fuzzy paws.
You're so soft.
And he creates with his magical signing a circle, but it's a circle that seems to be forming as if somebody were painting it with a paintbrush. And when it starts circling round, he starts breathing in, and he motions to you to do the same. And then the circle goes back around, and he exhales, and he motions to you to do the same. And the circle going round, it starts off quite regular pace, and then it gets slower and slower. And you start feeling, you get the sensation that you had when you first had the cup of chamomile tea. Your mind becomes more tranquil, and you don't feel sleepy, but you do feel a little bit less worried or less anxious. And as a reaction to this, you feel the magic inside of you, the magic that you were born with, it feels like it's adjusting itself to you. Perhaps your whole life it's felt like an ill-fitting garment, perhaps, or something that didn't quite fit, and so every now and again it would just flare up, and you didn't have any control. Now it feels as if it's kind of accepting you a little bit.
This is a weird feeling. I've never really felt this before. What did you do to me?
It signs the question, does it feel good? Does it feel better? And what effectively happens for the rest of your day with Candle is that as well as teaching you a spell of your choice that you feel would help you communicate better with people, he basically just teaches you these methods of not necessarily control, but management, of channeling. And by sort of early evening, you feel better. And it's like you said, it's a weird feeling. It's quite new.
Yeah, it's not. I don't feel as anxious anymore. It was like a tickle, like a constant itch that you couldn't scratch, and now it's sort of gone. It's still there, but it's not as annoying as it used to be.
Yeah, he gestures. Now it's small.
Mm-hmm. Very small.
And he sort of looks back at the stall, and there are some crates lying around, and there's some sort of odds and ends that need to be put away. Because I mean, throughout the day, we could even say you've perhaps been helping him out a little bit, because it was still a market day.
Yeah, he's nice. I would have helped him.
Yeah, and it gets to sort of evening, and it's getting close to the time where you and your companions had agreed to sort of go down to the docks, and again he sort of kneels down and with an elaborate sign sequence, he wishes you the best of luck.
I hesitate for about a second or two, but then I give him a big hug, and I say thank you, and I hope he's okay, and that the bad person doesn't come looking for him that came out of the portal and took his spices.
He hugs you back.
And I'm sorry if I reminded you of that. I didn't mean to, but I do hope you're okay.
He shakes his head like, it's okay. No worries.
I just sort of say what's ever on my mind. I know it's a problem.
He ruffles your frill.
Okay.
And
Do you know what a dock is and what way I could go, please?
Yes, you end your conversation with Candle, learning what docks are, more specifically, getting directions
Yay!
to get to them, and you set off.
Yay!
With extra tricks up your sleeve.
Huzzah! And
then and now you can level up any way you like as well.
I've decided I'm going to take the spell Comprehend Languages.
Nice.
That will which also means that I understand any written language that I can see, which hopefully means I can read the map.
Perhaps.
Maybe, I don't know.
We'll see. It might give you an advantage.
It takes me 1 minute to read 1 page of text, so it's not going to be an easy. It's not going to be an easy, like, like I suddenly can look at it and go, Eureka!
Yeah, I think what could be fun is I'll use the same mechanic as I used for Ag's dream, and I'll explain what that is at a later date. Awesome. So now, thank you very much. I will now move on to Zaffre. Okay, so now we're over to Zaffre, who is the next to rise from slumber. I'm realizing that perhaps narratively speaking, that maybe doesn't make the most sense, but he did get injured.
And he had ale the night before. And I think that made him sleep in a little bit. I think the two combined injury.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll wake up. I think that he has been curled into a very tiny little spiral in the bed, in the middle of everybody, and letting everybody. And I think he wakes up because he starts to get cold, with only Ag there
left.
Now.
Yeah.
It's less warm, and that wakes him up. And so he kind of slowly uncurls and kind of almost like a snake sort of slithers out of the pile of very slowly out of the pile of blankets. But once he stands up, he kind of starts to stretch, and he does a little stretching routine.
Nice.
something he clearly does every single morning that he goes through, and he seems quite awake after he does it. He goes and gives himself a wash and everything. And then he puts on his armor. He doesn't wake Egg.
I was going to say, does it very quietly, very carefully.
He's very quiet. He moves, slowly and respectfully. Not only because he respects Egg, but because he knows better than to wake Egg up.
Yes. Good point.
You survive that encounter. So.
I also I forgot to mention if there was like a wash basin. I'm now going to say there isn't. So I'm imagining Zaffre licking his face and his eyes like lizards do as a wash, like with just a very long lizardy tongue. He's like, bleh.
Well, he also, he understands how to keep a water.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, he has
a
water.
I think he would, before he put his armor on, he would find like a bowl or something, right? Put some water in it, and then do that, shake thing when they just kind of shiver their way through the water.
Aw.
And
So Zaffre sort of has his morning ritual.
Very tidy person. He likes everything very clean. And he even trims his little claws. Make sure everything's nice and tidy. He's a little...
Okay. We're having a sort of a repeat of Meeza's lengthy rituals. Hours pass.
He's very efficient. He does everything efficiently, so it doesn't actually take him that long. And he sneaks his way out.
Well, hold on, because before you sneak out, you hear a very gentle knock on the door. It doesn't wake up Ag. It's a very polite little knock.
He'll pull the door open just long enough, just wide enough to sort of poke his little nose through.
And you see Carmela, and she sort of gives you a big smile. Yes, exactly. She's very tall. She says, "Good morning. Somebody came just a few minutes ago, and they gave me this for you." And she hands you a piece of folded up parchment.
Thank you.
And she says, "It's okay. If you want breakfast, you can come down. We are serving food. So if you want, see you in a bit."
Thank you.
Bye. And she salutes back, and she heads back down the stairs.
He closes the door very quietly and then opens the parchment.
Okay. It is a letter. It looks like a sort of like a message, and it sort of says, "Dear Zaffre, think you might have some skills. Would like to see what else you can do. Come to Guard House and meet me there. Signed, Chief Garrett."
He gets very excited about it. Because this seems like this is very, very much like a quest. This is going exactly as it should. So he gets very, very excited, and he makes sure he's got all of his stuff on, and he leaves the note there so Ag will know where he's gone. To the he goes downstairs and he asks for some breakfast, but he eats it very, very.
It's such a good boy.
He is a good boy.
He's a good boy. So he gets some breakfast. Again, it's covered.
He's very polite, but he eats he doesn't inhale it bad
No,
way.
but
He's very, he cuts his food and he's very tidy, but he eats pretty quickly because he's very excited and he really wants to go. And then he gets, as soon as he's done, he's like, out the door.
And I guess you make your way to the guardhouse, and sure enough, Chief Garrett is standing outside in his full sort of regalia, his plate armor, his helmet, and he sees you approach, and he gives you a very sort of formal salute. And he says, "Aye, Sir Zaffre, isn't it?"
I imitate his salute as best I can.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Right, now, come on in. We'll get started.
He just marches everywhere he goes.
And he leads you through, and he actually takes you past the little office. He takes you past all the cells, and as you walk by, sort of Roderick is still in there, and he kind of stirs, and he's like, "Wah!" But he doesn't do anything. You reach the end of the hall, and you realize there's another door, and he sort of opens it up, and it leads out into effectively a kind of a courtyard, which is behind the building, which you hadn't seen before. And you see that there are some big sort of structures sort of peppered around, and some of them have got arrows sticking in them, and some of them look vaguely humanoid. They're like a doll, but they don't have arms or legs. They're kind of stood up on a pole, and they've got like they're made of wood, and they've got the big chunks cut out of them, and like scrapes on them, and dents in them, and standing in the middle of all these structures is a very groggy and sort of petulant looking Yanis, who sees you arrive and sort of goes, "Ah, Kavinda preserve me." And Garrett sort of says, "Aye, good morning, Yanis. Nice to see you too." Right, well, Zaffre, you might be wondering what the reason for that rather cryptic message I had sent to you. I thought it was quite dastardly of me. I'm sure you'll agree. It was very mysterious, I bet. I couldn't help a wee bit of mystery, but I heard tell of your skirmish with the red herrings. I heard about what that. Obviously, I saw when you brought him in that you've got a battle scar of your own now. And well, I'd like to. I see potential in you, lad, and I'd like to maybe help you get better at it, fight better, fight smarter. What do you say?
I'm honored.
Oh, no, there's no need for that. But
he gives a very deep bow of respect.
Now, see that, Yanis? That is a guard that shows respect and honor to his commanding officer, supervising. And Yanis is like, yes. Can we just get on with it? And Garrett is like, aye, all right. Right, well, Zaffre, that's great to hear. What I'm proposing is that myself and Yanis train you up. So we're going to go through maybe a rather condensed form of the sort of guard training that we do here on Alaris for new recruits. But for someone who already has some decent experience, I think this should be more than enough to set you up for the next leg in your quest.
I don't. This is very kind of you.
Oh, I won't be kind for long. It's gonna be tough love.
I am sure.
You're ready. Right, well then think fast. And before you can even realize, Yanis is suddenly behind you, with his short sword and is in a sort of on guard pose, and he's got his sword level at you, and he says, "Come on, then, let's
And
get this over with."
he whips his sword out and immediately tries to, just hit his sword to Yanis's.
Excellent. So there's like a loud clang, and it's followed by many other like swishing and clanging as you effectively spar with Yanis all around this courtyard.
Do I get a montage?
You definitely do, Zaffre. You get a absolutely 100% bona fide training montage. So yeah, we see scenes of you sparring with Yanis, and it's cut with you, I don't know, you're lifting some weights, and then the next thing you're using like a quarterstaff, and you're thwacking this dummy, this combat dummy. The next, they've given you a bow, and you're kind of firing an arrow, but the first time it hits Yanis in the like the armor over his bum, and there's like very comical. And as the montage continues, you get better and better, and eventually, you're hitting the bullseye, you're dismantling the combat dummy, and you are knocking the sword out of Yanis's hand. And the whole time, Garrett is kind of next to you. Is like, "Come on, harder, faster, stronger. That's the way. You want to make your dragon ma proud? I can't remember. Was it your mother? I don't know. But you want to make your dragon proud? Show them what you got."
He starts shouting for Roz when he starts chopping things, and he's swinging the sword.
Cool. We're gonna need a new combat dummy. And so basically the hours pass, and as well for you as it was for Noki and Meeza, you're just having, I'm guessing, just a ton of fun. And Garrett is teaching you sort of all these tricks and maneuvers, and you're reminded of Tang, and perhaps not necessarily in a bad way, but you're also realizing how limited your sort of combat schooling has been so far. Because
these guys have different experiences than Tang did, so
exactly.
I'm benefiting from that.
And it's getting now sort of early evening. The sun is dipping. The town is getting a little more quiet. Yanis sort of mops the sweat from his brow, and he says, "Permission to retire for the evening, sir?" And Garrett sort of looks at you and says, "What do you say? Do we give him a break?"
I think so. And he will put a hand on Yanis's arm, and just through sort of appreciation and of for his all the training that he's done, he will unconsciously use his new powers. Transfer mechanic. It would be a hit point, but a little bit of healing through the
the touch.
And he doesn't do it because he does it unconsciously, and he simply really appreciates what Yanis has done and thinks, he seems a little uncomfortable. I hope I could make him feel better, and pats him on the arm, and yet somehow there's this sort of warmth that comes from his hand.
And I think sort of Yanis perceives it. He feels this warmth, and he feels this kind of reinvigorating energy channel through you into him, and he's not really sure what's happened, and he kind of shakes his head a little bit, and he says, "Right, well done, I suppose. Good evening. Good evening, Chief. Good evening, Zaffre. And he walks off. And like you said, you don't realize how this happened, but thus this whole day, this day of training has instilled in you a stronger sense of sort of what it means to be a guard, what it means to be somebody who fights to protect the weak and uphold the concepts of justice and fairness. And Garrett, I think, notices this in you, sort of sees a sort of new glitter in your eye, and he pats you on the pauldron pan and says, "I think you did a grand old job today, Zaffre. I'm really, for what it's worth, I'm really proud of you. I think you'll go far."
I could not have done it without you, sir. I appreciate this opportunity. He gets a very formal bow.
Blaze it. I might regret this later, but and he reaches into his pocket and he takes out a little badge, and it has the crest of Volaris. It has the little fish on it, and he hands it to you and says, "Now, with this, you're basically part of the Alaris Town Guard. This means that wherever oh my, you might want to go and have that looked at. But wherever you are in the world, because I'm sure you're going to go far, wherever you are in the world, as long as you have this, you know that you are part of the Alaris Guard. And just remember, it's your duty to help and protect the people of Alaris." And I think this would make a jolly good first nightly boon for you. So there you go. And he gives you this little badge, which is like a smaller version of his, effectively.
He takes it, and he's trying. He's trying really hard not to get emotional about it. And he affixes it. Where it can be seen on his shirt, and he does a very formal, nice salute. I will do you proud, sir.
I'm sure you will. Right then.
I must be going.
Aye, you've got nightly duties to attend to. And I hope to see you again.
I do too, as do I. And he'll do his little march with his little legs away, and then once he's a couple blocks away, he'll kind of stop and give himself a minute and look at the badge and just be like,
he squeezed.
You got to do nice things. And it's working. Everything is going right. Yes. He's very happy. And then he okay.
He composes himself. Yeah.
And then puts the little badge back on it and goes off to the docks.
Excellent. And so Zaffre is off with a new spring in his step, off to the docks to meet the rest of his companions. So now that brings us to Ag. Yes.
Hello.
Good morning. You are in an empty bed. Are you in the middle of the bed?
Yes.
Okay. Just enjoying all that extra room.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't bother you at all that everybody's missing?
I assume Zaffre's looking after them.
Speaking of which, you're still in the bed. There, maybe from the bed, you do notice a small folded piece of paper over on the solitary desk in this bedroom.
I read it.
Now, here's a trick, everyone watching at home. Fish did not give me a message with what Zaffre wrote, so now it's up to me, in my mind, to speak for Zaffre. I mean, I am guessing it would be something along the lines of, I have been summoned by the town guard, and I must go and train with them.
Okay.
I will meet you at the docks later, wherever they are.
Hmm.
And it's signed with a Z, like a Z.
Yeah.
Or maybe the whole name. So there's that note. So I guess your mind is put at rest, I suppose. So what do you do? What's Ag's morning ritual, morning routine?
Morning routine. Let's see. Staying in the bed a bit too long.
Okay.
Nice and calm. It's been a while since Ag's had some me time.
That's true.
Probably she's quite used to that. So yeah, she does that, relaxes a bit, gets up, does some stretches, maybe some Tai Chi like
Wow.
movements, and then goes down for breakfast.
Yes.
There food?
Well,
Is there
now,
food?
well, hold on. Does Ag just go down steps going, is there food? Is there food?
No.
No. In her mind.
Yes.
So I guess at this point, sort of you're the fourth to wake up, so now it's well into the morning.
Mhm.
There's a couple of patrons at the Tipsy Shrimp. There's a couple of elderly gentlemen having like some breakfast of their own. Carmela is now here, and everything's been sort of wiped down and set up nice and tidy. Hey, hello.
Good morning.
You thank you. You sleep well? Is
Oh
a good
yes.
bed?
Very good bed, very nice. Thank you. Do you have food?
See, of course, we have food. We have breakfast.
Yes.
We have we have tea. We have the milk again. You remember what that is, I hope.
Yeah. I prefer tea and food. Please.
Okay. Yes. See, of course. For food, we have bread and marmalade. We have.
Yes. Marmalade.
Okay. she sort of bustles around a bit. She boils the water and she makes you a nice hot cup of tea and a plate with some slices of not as sort of rustic bread, but it's sort of, it's like sweet bread. It's like sweetened bread with maybe with raisins in it, maybe with something like that in, and and there's just a lot of marmalade on it. It's a small town. They probably favor local produce. I'm guessing it's Rhea's marmalade.
Oh, lovely.
She provides it to the Tipsy Shrimp. So yeah, so you
grab the slice and go.
Oh wow,
Big snout fits in.
It's already gone, eh? You like?
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so you have any plans? I see all your friends. They I gave a message to Zaffre a little while ago. I think he's in town somewhere. I heard that the your other two friends they left very early. But I think they are also somewhere in town. Do you have plans? Do you have plans for today?
Well, you see, we were sent here to discover as much of this world as possible. So I think I'm just going to have a look around.
See, yeah, that's a good idea. I think. Yeah, Olaris is small, but there's places to go. There's places to see. Have you been to the church?
Yes, yes. No, no.
Oh, okay. A very pretty window. You have to say.
It is well made, certainly.
Oh yes, see. Uh, is there anything you want to see in Olaris? Is there anything you like?
Well, let's see. I've heard you see our friend, she told us about all these things that are out here.
Hmm.
Like the buildings, I've seen those. They are nice.
Hmm.
I've heard about boats, and we're gonna see those.
Mhm.
I've heard there's like more than 4 books, and
Oh, book.
yes, we already
Uh,
have 4, but perhaps there are others here. Do you have a book? Do you
uh,
have a book?
I it's kind of a little bit feeling a little bit intimidated. Um, I have a book. It's in my room.
Can I see it?
Uh,
Can I have it?
well, and she can't. I mean, can she blush? She's like a fish person. Can she blush? I
It's
suppose
up
so.
to you. Yeah.
She goes a little bit purple. She doesn't go red. She goes a little bit purple around the gills, and she says, "It's a bit embarrassing. If I show you this book, you absolutely you cannot tell my girlfriend." Radra, I think you
Yes,
met.
yes.
Yes.
It is not the girlfriend I am confused about. It is the book.
Okay. So she sort of goes out. So she opens a little side door behind the bar, and you hear a bit of shuffling around. And she comes back, and she has a. It's not sort of leather bound. It looks quite tatty. It's well worn. You can tell this book has been read many times.
Mhm.
And it's got the picture of 2 half orc women
Mhm.
sort of embracing each other in front of a stormy sky.
Mhm.
And it says "From Tusk Till Dawn" on.
Aggie sort
And
of opens it at a random part and begins reading.
Before I knew it, Ogra was pressing her beating chest up to my face. I don't know. Don't make me do this.
Ag just closes it and sort of puts it back on the bar. She says, I don't think these are appropriate.
No,
For the
it's-
hatchlings.
Oh, no. I think it's just a guilty pleasure for me. So yes.
Where did you find this book? Maybe I'd like one.
I borrowed it from the library. Is here in town. You know the library you see in town?
No.
Do you know what the library is?
They have books.
See, it's a place you can go and you can take a book and you read it and then you bring it back. You borrow the book, and when you finish with the book, you bring it back.
That sounds very good.
Oh yes, it's very nice. I like to go there. It's called the Lighthouse Library.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go across the square and then you go right at the church, you see it. It has a big sign, and it says Lighthouse Library.
I will
You
go
can
look.
go
Thank
there.
you. He sort of gets up and leaves. What is
Oh,
that?
okay. Bye.
Goodbye.
So, you are outside, and the sun
Waddle,
has
waddle,
risen.
waddle, waddle.
Okay. Yeah. Nobody is really paying you any mind anymore. You're all famous now, so
Yeah.
everybody knows there's a bunch of strange lizard people in town. So yeah, you follow Carmela's directions, and eventually you do see a sign hanging outside a very narrow-looking establishment. It's squeezed between two houses, and the sign has written on it the Lighthouse Library, but it also has a picture of a sort of a weird-looking tower with what looks like a light at the top of it, like a flame of some kind, and it's sort of shining out.
Very nice.
Okay.
As a light cleric, I can appreciate that.
I know.
Mm.
Isn't that a coinky dink? Okay.
Is
So
it?
do you? In all honesty, yes.
Okay.
I had not thought that far. Okay, so you go in.
Yeah.
There is a window. There's like a
No, I
like
just go in.
okay. As you open the door, you hear a very loud sort of bell sort of ring sound above you. Like bling bling bling, and then it stops.
Great.
And inside this very narrow but also very tall space, because it's not really a house, it's not really a room, but it's very tall. The air smells a little bit dusty,
Nice.
but it also smells of parchment and old paper. It's got that really sort of, the smell, like old book smell.
Yes.
And they're just, I almost feel like making you roll for like constitution to see if you faint, because there's a lot of books here.
More than 4?
More than you can count. There are books stacked in piles. There's towers of books that are kind of teetering and tottering over. There's even like rudimentary structures made out of books. They look like slides and staircases, like a little Stonehenge kind of thing. And I think maybe you don't even notice them because you're just so transfixed by the books and the sheer mass and quantity of them. This place is lit in a very unorthodox way. There are just orbs of light sort of bobbing around in the air, like bubbles, but they are sort of just emitting this very warm, calming light, and they're sort of just bobbing around, bouncing off walls and floating on their way. But yeah, maybe you don't even really notice it. The place is lit because you can see all these books. And there's shelves as well. There's sort of loads and loads of shelves and bookshelves, and these are bending under the weight of this huge horde of books. I would actually like you to roll for perception, please.
So 14.
14 is good enough. You, as you're sort of looking at, just staring open mouthed at all these books, and especially at the sort of these weird little structures that seem to have been made, you notice that there are a lot of sort of lengths of string hanging from the ceiling and from shelves, and they sort of lead to from one shelf to the other, and they have what look like little pulley systems where if you pull on a string, it will turn a little wheel. There's like little wheels nailed into the wall, and there's also again, this would seem very possibly quite alien to you because there wouldn't have been any in the den, but there are tracks like for a mine cart or something, like little railway tracks. They're sort of made of wood, or just very simple material, and they kind of snake their way around the floor, but also around the shelves. So yeah, you sort of you notice that there's this kind of weird transit system here amongst all these books, but yeah, it's mostly books though. So what do you do?
I think for a minute at least, like a literal minute, I just don't like.
Nice. With that same 14, perception counts as smell too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all senses. You smell food.
Oh, I go after it.
Okay. You follow your snout, and that leads you to a sort of podium. It looks a bit like in the den as speaker, you had like a large rock or a large
Yes.
oh dear, hold on, which is the one that grows from the ground?
Might.
Thank you. You had like a truncated stalagmite.
Yes.
That you would use as your little podium. So you recognize this as something similar, but this is made of wood. And almost all of those lengths of string and all of those little tracks, they all converge to this podium. And on top of the podium is a plate with what looks like 2 slices of bread and some sort of goopy yellowy white substance in between.
Is there anybody nearby? Is it just unattended?
None that you can see. No, there's.
Does it smell sweet?
No.
Not that interested. I think Ag just sort of tries and
What?
do this to a few of the ropes.
Oh,
Plucking them.
Okay. So, yeah, you pluck a particularly sort of taut one, and it goes, and you sort of you do hear a little, you hear a voice. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can I help you at all?
Well, probably, maybe. Are you invisible?
No. Hold on, just a jiffy. I'll be right up. And you hear from inside the podium. You hear sort of like maybe some of these sort of strings being pulled, and you hear like squeaking of pulley systems, and then you hear very soft sort of pattering, and suddenly you see a tiny pink nose with what look like some sort of whiskers, some hairs protruding from it on either side, and a very small grey furry animal with a long pink tail, wearing teeny tiny little spectacles, and with some sort of tufts of white fur from it growing from its chin and above its ears. And I think you would have seen a mouse in your time in the den.
Yes.
And this little mouse sort of clears its throat. Yes, hello. Welcome to the lighthouse library. Sorry about that. I'd misplaced my spectacles.
It happens.
Do you mind just waiting a few moments? I was just about to go for my lunch break. I have a
Okay.
sandwich there. I
Yes.
have it's brie. It's a brie sandwich. I've been saving it. Well, I mean, okay. I'll be right there.
Okay.
And I think within an astonishingly short amount of time, this sandwich, this cheese sandwich, is devoured, and quite soon there's just a little mouse, sort of cleaning some crumbs out of his whiskers, and he says, "Yes, delightful." Right. Well, like I said, welcome to the library. My name is Pittacus. It's Pittacus, yes, Pittacus.
My name is Ag.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. How do you spell it?
AGG.
Ah, wonderful. Yes, nice and concise.
Yes.
Good concise name. Punchy, very short and punchy, straight to the point. I like.
Certainly.
But if I may ask you perhaps a personal question, are you by any chance a kobold?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. I'm pretty sure there is a book on kobolds somewhere.
I don't need a book about kobolds. I already know all about kobolds.
Oh, right.
Far too much about some of them.
Okay, that's fine and dandy. What sort of book are you interested in?
Well, what we don't have yet. Definitely. We have the one about the knights. We have one
Yes.
about fish. No. I don't remember what the other books are on, but I tell him. I know we said something.
Yes. You have a book on gardening.
Gardening, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a book on
Gardening.
Mushroom gardening. You have the book of the Kniggets.
Yeah.
The Night Book, and I believe there was also another smutty romance novel that nobody has read, apart from Ross. Yeah, apart from Ross Dactyla. Only Ross Dactyla has read that one.
Yeah.
But yes, so
So not one of those, but a different one. And they explained to me, I can take books from here as long as I bring them back.
Yes, that's it is a lending library. You what you do, you see. Well, first, do you have a library card? Do you have a card for I don't remember seeing you before, so
No.
probably you don't. Right. Well, what we'll do is I will give you a card, you see, and that card will have your name on it, and it will tell me that you can borrow books from this library. And what we'll also do, if you do choose to borrow any books from the Lighthouse Library today, we'll make a note of the day, and we'll make a note of when you have to bring it back.
Excellent. Yes.
That's all sounds good to you?
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh, splendid. Well, I suppose we'll start by perusing the catalogue. I suppose we'll start by having a look at what there is to offer. You said not gardening, not romance, and not knights.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a specific genre, specific topic that you're looking for? Because that might help us narrow it down a little bit.
Sort of things. Well, what are popular books?
Well, what do we often see? Well, there are some there are some storybooks that have been quite popular recently. There's there's this line of books which is very popular with the younger readers. It's Bethany Porthole. She's the author. It's The Adventures of Heeper the Peep. They're very, very popular, you know. The children, they love them. I think there's already 50 books in that line. There's this one. It's over there though. Hold on just a tick.
Yes.
And he sort of scurries back down, and you see a little hatch open at the side of the podium. And he is sitting in a tiny cart, and the cart sort of trundles along one of these tracks, and it sort of goes, "It's follow me, keep up."
Waddle.
And he sort of breaks, and he is at one of these big towers, and they all seem to be, there seem to be three very thick volumes of Ergol the Wise's Compendium of Proverbs for the Safety and Survival of Wayward Children. And there's he said these are popular with mostly grandparents. Apparently grandparents like to sort of read these to their children. This one's quite new, actually. This one only just arrived. It's Ramona Llewellyn. She's a fairly new author, but it's Kevin the Kraken Goes to School. It's very sweet, if I might say. So I mean, those are sort of, yes.
We have the Knight book for the hatchlings.
I
Perhaps
see.
something slightly more
Mature?
for everyone. Yes.
Right. Well, we've got lots of that. May I just, again, this is just another question. I hope you don't mind. It's mostly to sort of help me perhaps narrow down something that might be to your liking. I notice you have a very large tooth hanging around your neck.
Yes, it's my best friend's.
I see. Well, I was going to go with a different line of questioning, but now I was wondering perhaps if it was a holy symbol of some kind. You
Yes.
seem to be.
Yes.
Your best friend's tooth is your holy symbol.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they do say, I guess.
She's a
yes.
dragon.
Well, that would explain it.
Just like the gods.
True.
Good.
I'm sure. Well, would you perhaps be interested in some books on theology? Some books on religion?
I don't think humans have any kinds of books that are correct.
Oh, well, I'm sure you would know more about that than me. Well, right. Sort of looking around, says, would magic at all be of interest to you?
Yes, I am interested in magic. Many others are as well.
They're fairly popular. They're not as popular as the Heap of the Peep books, but they get borrowed quite often. Follow me, and this time he sort of gets into basically like a ski lift, and he goes along another length of string, and he ends up at another big pile. And there are a few books. You see Fiona Farsight's Divination for Dummies. You see Sligo Tremaine's Introduction to Evocation. Margot Mulberry's Illusion Magic for Beginners. And Roscoe the Magnificent's Guide to Conjuration. So as you can see, we have a few of the schools of magic. If there was something in particular you were aiming for.
Schools?
Yes, sort of category, subdivision, specialization of magic. You know,
something
yes.
more a bit general.
general, right. Well, let me see. And he sort of scurries up a few shelves. And there is there is another one by Tusco, Tusco the Magnificent. Tusco the Magnificent, and I believe I have to legally read this and do this gesture at you. So you want to learn magic? That's the title of the book.
That sounds like a good beginner's book.
Yes, I suppose so. Yes, it's.
I'll have that one.
Splendid, wonderful. Okay. Yes.
Can I have more books?
Well, once we set up your library card,
I'd like the one about the orcs. Don't tell anyone.
Which one about the orcs?
The one the lady at the inn had.
Ah. Oh, I see. Ah, yes. Well, you wouldn't be able to have that one, you see, because she's currently borrowing it.
Ah.
But we might have another one by the same author. If that is of interest to you.
I'll try it. Yes.
Okay. So Pittacus gets back into another little cart, and you head back to the podium. You have the book. You have Tusco the Magnificence. So you want to learn magic, finger guns. Yeah. So you've got that, and Pittacus takes out a blank card and writes your name on it, and there are 3 sort of squares on at the top of this card. There's actually, I would say, there's a grid of squares, but it's 3. It's rows of 3.
Yeah.
And he explains you can borrow up to 3 books at a time. So this would be your first borrowing slot. Let's put it that way. So he puts it. He uses a little stamp, and he stamps the first square, and he says, "Right. So I suppose you'll want to choose a book from the romance section, I suppose."
Yes.
Okay. Well, that would be over by that shelf there. It's marked under romance. Okay. And now I need to think of some more smutty titles.
Ooh.
Hooray! Thank you so much. So Ag, you arrive at this shelf, which has got I'd say roughly 20 more of those sort of smaller books that are the same style of cover as the one that Carmela showed you. And you recognize that they're all by the same author, one Mariah Bloodfang. And they all have like a smaller subtitle on each of the spine, which says Heart of the Mountain series. And by sort of looking at these books, you can tell that they all feature like a main protagonist who is a half-orc like Radra. And your interest is piqued by one in particular, where the main character, this strapping young half-orc woman, is being held in the embrace of what looks like a very tall, very hirsute anthropomorphic wolf. But they are smooching, which is a bit strange. But yeah, and there's a full moon behind them, and the title of the book is Kisses and Claws. My lycanthropic love. That's the subtitle. It has many subtitles. All these books are mostly subtitles. So yeah.
This one sounds good. I'll take this, please. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, your secret is safe with me. So I'll just stamp the second box there. Is there perhaps another book on magic you would be interested in? for when you finish the Tusco volume? Or
Perhaps. Mm. Is there anyone that teaches you better how to speak with the dragon gods?
Well, I mean, like I said, we do have a few on religion. We have a few on theology. I don't remember seeing any in particular about the dragon gods. You want to learn spells to commune with your deity? Is that what I'm?
Yes, with the dragons.
With the dragons. Would divination for dummies cover that? Or
I think so.
very well, I suppose you could start with that. There's a few things there for, I suppose, glimpsing into the future, piercing the veil, all that sort of thing. I must admit, I perhaps my catalogue is understocked, but I don't remember seeing anything about the dragon gods. I must apologize. I'm sorry.
Perhaps later I can write a book for you where I explain it.
You write?
Occasionally.
Oh, that's splendid. Oh, well, I'd be very happy to read anything you have to write on the subject. I'm sure it would be quite a novel experience for me.
Perhaps when I return these.
Yes. Well, the standard borrowing time is a month. Perhaps would you like to keep it at 2 books, so you have time to finish them both?
No, it should be fine.
Very, very well. Just as I'm sure it won't come to that, but you should know that if by any chance you fail to return the books by the designated time, you will incur a small fine. Because of course, you know that the book is technically property of the library, and you know other people would probably like to borrow it, and so you understand it's. But I'm sure it won't come to that. I'm sure I'll see you again in a month.
Yes,
And,
a month.
Very well. I'll write it on the card for you. Okay.
Yes.
So here's today's date. He scribbles it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the date that you need to bring the books back here. Is that all clear to you? It's all
Yes.
wonderful. Right. You will be informed, of course, closer to when the date is coming up. The card has a very simple enchantment on it, and it will glow a little bit. It will emit a soft light to let you know that the time to bring back the books is almost at hand.
Excellent.
That was a suggestion we got a little while ago. Somebody had a nasty habit of forgetting when they had to bring back their books, and so I put a little enchantment on the library cards. So hopefully that will help. But here you go. I can't lift them myself, unfortunately, so you will have to lift them yourself. But there you go. Is there anything else I can do for you? I can help you with?
No.
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 I don't suppose you have anything written already that perhaps you could benefit from a learned scholar's eye like myself. I've read quite a few books in my time. I've read a lot of things.
No.
Very well. Then I suppose I'll see you in a month's time then. Okay, so if you don't have any more sort of business here at the library, then I guess you can set off. I mean, or you can start reading them. I mean, it's still...
Is it nice and sunny outside?
Yes, it is.
Then Ag is going to try and find a nice quiet place in the sun to read.
Probably a little bit to your chagrin, that does seem to be the steps to the Temple of Kavinda. But it is the sunniest, sort of most tranquil spot.
Yeah. I read some of the magic book.
Excellent. So I guess that's how you spend your day, spend the rest of the day until you realize that the shadows are getting longer and the natural daylight is getting a bit too faint to read anymore. And I suppose you remember, oh, we're supposed to go down to the docks. Yeah. And there are I didn't mention this when we were doing the level up scenes for your fellow players, but there are some signs. There's like a little signpost that points to the docks, and you make your way there.